Okay, so in the last video, we did a quick little web scrape of the Shopify experts using Puppeteer, which basically is Google's little scraping testing browser. But it lets you program it, and it lets you sort of launch the browser and go through some one-by-one steps. This video, we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to use raw requests to Shopify and not open a browser. And so with this technique, we're going to be able to do them all at once, whereas in the last video, we did each page one at a time. Now, as I was doing this, I was like, I wonder if we could actually use Puppeteer to launch multiple web pages at once. And the answer is yes, you can. And so we'll do that in another video to speed that one up. But this one's going to be a lot faster than the last one in terms of the speed to complete the actual thing. So let's just quickly remind you what we did last time. So if we run node index, it's going to hop to Shopify and scrape all these different inner pages, which, again, what that is actually doing, that's not how you spell clear. If we hop over the browser, it's going to this page, grabbing each of these main sections, clicking on each of these buttons, and grabbing the names of the people in the list. Okay, so that's what the scraper is doing. So to do this with raw requests, we're going to get started. We need two utilities. I'm going to have const request equals require request promise. And since we're going to be scraping the page, what I like to use for sort of going through the DOM is going to be something called cheerio. So const cheerio equals require cheerio. It's like jQuery for Node, if you want to think about it like that. But we need to install those, so npm I request promise, and then npm I request, because we need request promise does not install it, and then npm I cheerio. All right, great. So we have our utilities that we need. This is part of the async await series, so let's do our normal async await business. So async function, wrap that in parens, and put that in a nice fancy try catch, and console.log our error e. Again, the reason I named this our error is so that I can see that it's our error being thrown versus errors from other things that might be thrown during the process, which hopefully doesn't happen and are caught here. So with Shopify, what we need to do, we need to go to here. So we'll say const, let's just call this base equals, oops, not double quotes, single quotes. All right, so let's go ahead and request that page. So const main HTML equals, and the way you do this with the get request is really simple. Don't even need any parameters. You just, boom, request the page. You need to await that, otherwise we're going to have a hard time. So this gets the raw HTML. We actually need to parse that into a format using Cheerio that lets us traverse it. So I'm going to say const $. You don't have to use $, but it's the syntax of this reminds you a lot of the old days of jQuery, and so yeah, $will make more sense. And we'll just say cheerio.load, and you pass it some HTML like that. There we go. And that is not asynchronous. That's just a straight thing. So that's good to go. So the first thing we need to do, looking at this page, is we actually need to get, wow, that's big. Okay. We actually need to get these sections again. So if we remember, these are class sections. So let's go ahead and get all of those. So we're just going to say const links equals, so the way you use this is like this. Again, looks a lot like jQuery. And then here we can each over the things, and that can take a function which takes I and then the element that we're on, like that. And then to use it with jQuery again, so inside of each of the sections, we want to get the button. And so that button is a.marketing button. There you go. So we're going to say const, and I'm going to put a $sign because it's going to be a Cheerio object, equals we're going to wrap elem, which is our current section, dot find. So again, this is just like jQuery. So I'm wrapping this is a quote unquote DOM element, and we're wrapping it in, I'm quoting because it's not really a DOM element, but we're going to wrap it in Cheerio because we want to have Cheerio methods like find, because we want to go into this element, into the section, and find, here, actually, let me name this section for ease of use here. So we're going to go into this section, find the marketing button, and that's our button. And then what we want to do is we want to, well, you know, we don't want an each here. We actually want a map, because for every section, we want to return the link to that area. So instead of an each, we're going to do a map, and then we're going to return, and we want to return, well, we want to return the text of the, or actually the link. So it's just button, which is your element, dot text is the text of the button. And here's a gotcha with Cheerio. In order to have it be an array, you have to write .get at the end of a map or an each. Well, of a map, really. All right, so little gotcha there. Don't forget this get at the end. Otherwise, it will be a Cheerio array and not a normal array. Let's take a look at what this looks like. Console.log links. Okay, so come down here, node fast. There we go. Cool. That's the text of the button. We don't actually want that. We actually want the href, which is attr href, if you can remember back to your jQuery days. So clear. Let's run that again. Nope, that's not the running of the thing. There we go. Great, great. Now, these are relative paths. We actually want this base plus that to be our link. So we actually want to return, let's turn this into a template literal, and we want to say base. They already have a slash, so let's actually get rid of the slash from here, since these already have a slash. And actually, forget it. I don't need a template literal because it's just one single addition. So base plus that. Okay, let's take a look at it again. Clear. Great. There's our links. Fantastic. Okay, so now we need to go to each link. So now that we're in request land and we don't have to open a browser, we can actually fire off all of these all at the same time. So if you remember from the previous async awaits, the way to do things in parallel is using the promise all map technique. So promise.all, links.map, async function. We're gonna that's gonna be link. There we go. We want to await this whole thing. Again, very important. Now that we're in the real world and we're not doing some contrived example, although this is still a contrived example, we want to try catch inside of here, because we have to return something positive every single time from this loop. Again, this loop will never finish. It will never get to here. This log, it'll never finish if it throws inside of here. So we can't let it throw. And we're going to be making requests to other pages, and there's a chance that they'll throw. We can't let that happen. Okay, we can catch that error and handle it, but we can't let this throw, because then we'll never get out of this loop. Very important when using this technique. Okay, so what are we doing inside of here? We're just going to get that page. So we'll say const, what should we call this? Each of these is an expert, but let's call it expert HTML. Const expert HTML equals, same thing as before, await request link, and then const $ equals cheerio.load expert HTML. Now, at this point, you might be saying, well, wait, you just used a $, and I used it earlier up here. What's going on? Const is scoped to this block here. So it's scoped to this block of code, so I'm able to use it here, and it sort of has preference to now be used instead of this one outside of the scope. I'm not overwriting the variable by any means. I'm just using one in my scope. I could name it something else, but there's not really Any reason to. Okay, so now that I'm on this page, we want to get all of these LIs. If we remember the gotcha from last time, we need our direct descendant LIs of this UL because there's other LIs that could be in there. So we already made that mistake last time. Let's not do it again. So const LIs, let's scroll up a little bit. LIs equals, and we'll do that direct descendant LI. There we go. Again, our final result of this whole thing is that we're going to be getting a CSV. So we just need to loop over these. We don't need to, I don't think we need to do a map because, well, we do need to output. So we do need to do a map again. Okay, so lis dot map I li. Okay, so what do we want to return from each of these? Again, the thing we did last time is we want to get this, this, I believe is an H2. Yeah, we want to get this, the text of this H2A. We want to get this inner text again. So we're just going to return, again, wrapping it in Cheerio, li.find H2A. And we're just going to say .text. And that should be the text. And I'll just say const names equals. So that should be it. Let's see what this gives us. Clear. Okay, so we get a lot of stuff here. Oh, there we go. I did it again. I forgot .get. Can't forget .get because then you get a bunch of Cheerio objects, and that's not what we're looking for. Always gets me. There we go. Okay. So there's all of the names. So we're getting there. We got the names, which is great. Okay. So we got the names. One thing we're missing, though, if you notice, is that all of these links are at the bottom, and I don't have access to, excuse me, if you remember the CSV from before, let's take a look at that. We need the name of the button, and we're kind of missing that right now. So let's go back up to here. And instead of returning an array of links, let's return an object that has both the link in it and the name of the button. Okay? That way we have it from before. So that's going to be button.text is the name of the button. And then down here, this link is not link anymore. It's going to be, I don't know, let's just call it expert. It's expert.link. And then we have, expert.name as well now, which is great. We need to return out of this promise.all with something useful. We're not returning anything out of here right now. So let's return an object for every single link. We're going to return the name, which is expert.name. And then we're going to return the list of names. I'll just say names, and that should be fine. Okay, so now we're actually returning out of here. Here we're just going to actually return e.message. We got to return out of here in case there's a problem. Okay, so then we'll just say, const data equals. So there's all of the data that we wanted. Great. So now down here I can just say const data instead of links because links isn't important now. We don't care about that. Okay, let's take a look at what this looks like. See that we have everything. Boom. Nice. That spit everything out. So we've got, so I don't know if you really notice what's going on here, but that spit everything out instantly instead of having to, basically when all the pages were done loading, instead of having to do one page at a time. We'll do a speed comparison in a minute, but name, Seertop experts, names, Seertop designers, names. Okay, so this isn't a good format. I believe last time we wanted to print a CSV, so let's do that as well. So let's const fs equals require fs extra. Again, fs extra is a great utility here to have promiseified file system. So in the beginning, we're just going to say const out fast equals fs.write file. Oh, you know what? I don't need to const that. await fs.write file out fast.csv, and we're gonna write we're gonna say name or section and name, right? That's what we did. \n. Cool. Okay, and then down here, once we're finished and we have all the data, now we can just do data.for_each. We can just call it section. And then we can say, oh, we're going to be async awaiting. Can't use for each. Got to use for const section of data. So what we actually want to do here is each person is going to be its own row. That's how we set up this file here, like that. So to set that up again, we're going to do another loop now. Here, now that we have the name, and we're going to say const name of data.names. So now we're looping over the names, and now we can say await.fs append file out fast.csv, and the data is going to be it's going to be we probably shouldn't, and this is, we need each of these, so we're going to say section name. Okay, so it's going to be let me put this in template literals, section name, and then a comma, and then the name of the person, which is that name, and then \n. Okay, that should give us what we're looking for there. That should write everything out. Let's take a look at that. Clear. Cannot read properties symbol iterator of undefined. Data.names. Let's see if that's a thing. It should be. Oh, it's section.name and section.names, right? This is the thing that we're trying to access. So that's what it should be. Okay, so that says it's done. Let's take a look at our file. Okay, we're close. We printed our CSV, but unfortunately, things that had commas in it got moved into a third column. And so the way to prevent that is we actually need to wrap things in double quotes to protect that from happening. There we go. And let's run it again. Okay, let's take a look at the file now. Okay, there we go. Now we've got our output. There's one more speed improvement I think we can make on this before I show you the final comparison, and that's this is writing these one at a time. And well, actually I do want to keep it like this. Never mind, because we could write this using a promise all map and write them all at the exact same time, but we can't guarantee the order of the write. And it's important that, well, it's probably important that these are grouped by this thing first, and then this thing next, and then this thing next. So experts, designers, and developers. We could write this all at once, and it would be a fast write, but it might not be in order. So we probably don't want to do that. We can't guarantee, it probably would be in order, but we can't guarantee order when you do it like that. So we are going to leave it like this. Let's look at the speed comparison. Okay, so I'm going to run node index. So let's take a look at how long this takes to finish. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi. Okay, about 5 Mississippis. And let's run our new one and see how long that takes. Node fast. So 1 Mississippi to 1.5 seconds. All right, and they both yield us the exact same result. There's our old one. There's our new one. Okay, they're not exactly the same. Maybe the data on Shopify site is changing, but that's okay. At any rate, yeah, so this is using parallel requests using promise.all map, and the last one was using Puppeteer to do them one at a time. And maybe in a future video, we'll use Puppeteer to do them all at once as well, opening many browsers at once. But there you go. That's a way to do scraping where you're doing sort of chunks all at once.